Hello. Hi, and welcome back to Narcissu. How's it going? Hope you're doing well. Hope you are prepared for more road trip buddy comedy now. We've stolen a car and we're on the road. Where we're going, I don't know that anybody knows at this point. So we just know that we've got a car and no destination in mind, but anywhere is better than home or the 7th floor. Let's get to it. I'm going to say that like, "What's up, gamers? Welcome back to the intensely emotional visual novel. Let's get right to it." The fuck did I do that? Why did I do that? It had begun to rain all of a sudden. A freezing rain falling from the frigid January sky as if it had forgotten how to stop. The countless raindrops spattering on the windshield and obscuring the view from the inside. And when each grew too large for the surface tension to hold it up, a few of them gathered, slid down, and became rivers. And these rivers swallowed up raindrops underneath them and ran to the bottom. I stared emptily at the rain from inside. Man, this is just really, like it. Prose is just going all out. This is more solid of a translation / localization than I remember. I don't remember it being just so really, really well written. But again, maybe that's also a reason that I liked it a lot too. So I can remember. Again, I don't remember. A parking lot somewhere, a desolate place in the middle of the mountains. Having finished shopping at a convenience store, we were spending the night here. The dinner menu, 2 rice balls, 500 millimeters of Pocari Sweat, half a bag of potato chips. It's been a long time since we did anything like this. Yeah, she murmured with a convenience store rice ball in one hand. It wasn't anything of wonderful quality, but it was far better than anything served up in the 7th floor. I mean, you can't be wrong, because God, hospital food is such trash. And it's just like, maybe that's one of my biggest worries. Like, man, if you're gonna die in a hospital, it's gonna suck because you're not even gonna get food you want. You're just gonna get the garbage they gotta serve up there, or you'll be on some garbage diet. And when we were both going for the potato chips, she suddenly stopped reaching for it. Is something the matter? Not really. But her eyes turned past the windshield, glazed by the rain, at a few white flowers on the roadside, at some flowers soaked by rain. I didn't know if someone had planted them or if they were wild, but I remembered something about them. Were these the Narcissu? These are Narcissus. Oh, right, Narcissus. Well, I didn't know flower names all that well. I'd at least heard of Narcissus before. And this girl who seldom spoke a single word was actually talking about something. And so I followed along. And speaking of which, are these not exactly the real deal as well? Yeah, something like that. Huh. So they must be pretty rare then. Not really. You can find them anywhere. Anywhere. And where exactly? It wasn't if I had any deep purpose for asking. It was just I was making conversation as best I could. And yet this girl thought about it for a bit, then slowly opened her mouth. West. West? Awaji Island. It's famous for them. Awaji Island. Hey, wait. How far away do you think that is? I just started driving a car, so I wasn't even halfway proficient yet. It was probably about 700 kilometers away, and even on the tollways, I couldn't say how long it would take. And in the first place, I didn't think we'd have enough money for that. Not to mention, if the police are out here looking, you know, I can't imagine you're going to be able to keep quite a low profile for a while since we know exactly what car you're in. If we went by normal highways instead of the tollways, there was no way we'd have enough for gas. Hey, don't say stuff like that. You can't mean to go there, right? Who said I wanted to go? What? I just answered your question. And just like that, she went back to staring at the flowers across the windshield. The thick haze of the cold rain streaming on glass. She kept gazing and gazing and gazing. It's Pride Month. She kept gazing and gazing and gazing. It's not Pride Month. It's literally 2 months away, Polly. I've really got to work on making jokes relevant to the plot, right? Like, that's a part of jokes being funny, is that they kind of need to be relevant to what's going on at the moment and not just a dumb reference, or else I might as well just be Family Guy. Hey, remember that time we gay prided? I didn't particularly want to go there either, but I had nowhere else I wanted to go. Oh, we're just cruising along here. My time was at a standstill. I piled useless trivia upon useless trivia, drew information from the TV and the TV alone. As soon as nothing was real anymore, fading away into hollow space. But I loved looking at maps. Trains, cars. I loved things that could take me places. I spread out maps on top of my narrow bed. Changed routes over and over and over. Sedans, coupes, convertibles. Rode on so many different kinds of cars. The number one route, continuing on forever. I ran on that road forever and ever and ever. Indigo blue skies, beautiful coastlines. I ran until I came at last to those places sketched in my dreams. Slowly tracing past the arc of a cape, running on the white sand of the beach, the sun on my back. If I but closed my eyes, I could go anywhere, towards landscapes that I had never seen with my own eyes, longing for the soil upon which I could never hope to tread. My useless stockpile of trivia was the only thing that increased. All emptiness, all the colors of yearning. January 21st, 2005. The sky after the rain. The high flying clouds streaming by at knife-edge speeds, the unique swishing sound of tire on wet asphalt. And through it all, there we were, driving along as always. No destination, just a desire to keep going no matter what. It wasn't as if I was looking to go to Awaji Island at all. We didn't even have the gas money to get there anyway. But I drove straight ahead on unfamiliar roads even as I thought those thoughts. But where are we? I was forced to wonder. I didn't know my geography very well to begin with, and I was seeing all sorts of place names that I did not recognize. Hey, we know somebody that's good at maps. Could we maybe stop, we could probably, how much is a map gotta be, $4 at a gas station or something? We know somebody that's good at maps. Maybe Setsumi should speak up a little bit and say, hey, I know where we could go. I had planned on driving unto the ends of the earth, but with the GPS navigation system broken, I had no idea anymore. And before I knew it, I started looking around anxiously at the street signs as I drove. I don't know at all. What? Well, I don't know where the hell we are right now. She said something to me, and I had gotten her a casual response. Because she probably wasn't going to know even if I asked her. Iruma District, Saitama Prefecture. What? Well, I mean, she's probably also just a living map. She's studied maps. That's all she's had time to do is study maps. Silly me, why would you even need to waste 400 yen or so on a map when you've got a living map sitting next to you? The next right leads to the number 16 route toward Hachijoji. You knew all this? Did you happen to live around here or something? No, nothing like that at all. It was a surprise. No, it wasn't just surprising. It was nothing short of a miracle that she knew the roads to this detail. Because no matter how I looked at it, she didn't seem to have driven around all that much herself. Then could it be Do you know the way from here to Awaji Island? I don't understand why you're asking. Well, see, we might be able to get there on normal highways without having to get on the tollways. And we might just have enough gas money to get us there. Do you want to go there? Well, no. That's not what I meant. Don't ask me. With those words, she fell silent. And she turned to face the window with as frosty a demeanor as ever. But she wasn't looking at the passing scenery. It was like she was staring at something in the unreachable distance. Her. Then don't ask me. Just what the hell was that supposed to mean? Come on, I'm begging you to read the room a little. She literally wants you to take her there. What better plan do you have? Like, she literally wants it. She just doesn't want to ask. She wants you to take the initiative because she wants to like feel somebody do something cool for her. I mean, that's my read on it anyway. But I think that's kind of it. How would she have replied if I had told her that I was planning on going? We simply continued on. No purpose, no aim. It wasn't as if we had a plan or a schedule from the get-go. We just didn't want to die on the 7th floor or at our so fake homes. But maybe I alone, must have wanted something to show us the way, no matter what the way might be. We have been going for a while. Still no cops. It's cold, though it is. Some beach whose name I did not know. We'd reached the sea before we'd known it. I'd been planning on heading west, but somehow it looked like I'd ended up going south. A pitch black sky and a cold, windy waterfront. We both got out of the car and stared at the darkened sea. She stood apart from me as usual and stared into the distance, where the black sky and ocean melted into the horizon's edge. And after seemingly taking in the view of the ocean for a while, she slowly started walking toward the beach. Hey, what do you think will happen? Now I've got no idea what you're talking about. Do you think I'd be able to die at peace if I just walked into the sea? Those were her words, as she slowly walked into the sands, her back toward me. The third time was the end. There was no fourth time. The choice was between dying on the 7th floor and dying at home. Apparently no one had escaped this choice. Those were the words that she herself had spoken to me. And yet on her second time around, she told me that she didn't want to die on the 7th floor or at home. This was after she'd explained the rules to me, after her duty to me was already over. That's why I felt like this is what she meant. I don't know. I've never drowned before. Then, if I walked into the sea right now, would you stop me? She turned her head to look at me as she said this, with the moon rising and the dark heavens as her backdrop, and her gaze, which had always been so far away, was directed straight at me. I don't know. I'd have to see when the time came. I guess so. She then turned her back to me and slowly started walking toward the sea once more. Hey, tell me. What is it? Do you want to be stopped? Upon hearing my words, she stopped short of the waves. A strong wind kicked up a spray that beat against her feet. If you want to be stopped, then I'll stop you. Not really. That's not it at all. Then it'll be fine if I don't stop you, right? There was no reply to my question, but her feet did not move any further either. So what was her answer then and there? I think it's both. I think she both wanted to be let go, but I think she also wants to know that somebody would care enough about her to want to stop her, even though she's at the end of her life. Like, it's very much, this is just somebody that wants somebody to care. Like, both of these characters very clearly come from families that they are none too happy with, and I feel that, like, she's very much just, she can't bring herself to say it because it's just a hard thing to say. But yeah, I think that that's very much what she's going for in that moment, is that she just kind of wants him to care. It would be fine if he let her go as well, because he would also be respected. Like, I think both answers are right. Like, if he let her go and that's what she truly wanted, she would be okay because that's what she wants. But if he stopped her, it would also mean something to her as well. The high, high heavens of winter, blue and clear almost to the point of morning, strong north winds beating against the electric wires overhead. The silver coupe reflecting the blue sky on its shining frame, with me at its wheel and her in the passenger's seat as per usual. I didn't know where this was, but the real problem was that we were going to run out of gas soon. We didn't have that much money to begin with, and after various convenience store purchases, we had even less. Only about 7,000 yen left. Of course, I had no idea how many liters the car took, but we probably had enough money to fill the tank once. We still didn't really have a destination or anything, but if we didn't fill up, we would not be going anywhere anymore. I'm gonna fill up on gas. I see. With that, I turned the steering wheel and drove into a gas station that was coming into view. Welcome, will you be paying by credit or cash? Cash, please. Regular or premium? Regular? Premium? I had no idea. Well, then again, I had no idea about anything in this car. And on top of that, it had been a long time since those driver's license classes. Hey, she knows! I bet she knows. Which one would you like? Well, there I was at a loss for words, and there stood the gas station attendant waiting for me. And then, just as I was about to answer at random because I didn't care which one of the two it was, she spoke from the passenger seat. Regular, please. Huh? Oh, okay. Regular then. Okay then, regular, full tank. Paying with cash? Yeah, that'll be all. Okay then, thank you very much. The attendant skillfully began his operation with those cheerful words. The strangely disagreeable smell of gasoline wafted in from the window that I'd opened roughly 10 centimeters. Hey, are you sure this thing takes regular? Just add nothing at all to this and just pointed at the prices list. Oh, so that's it. It's cheaper this way. I didn't understand it very well, but I didn't think that there was that much difference in price. And then I saw the gasoline meter and the number of liters being displayed. 25, 26, 27, 28. The numbers were going by at incredible speed. Maybe I'd made a mistake. I began to get a little worried as I watched those numbers climb. I'd told him to fill the tank a while back, but I didn't have much money on hand. Even with the coins, I'd only had about 7,000 yen, and of course, I had no idea how many liters this thing took. What was I gonna do if I didn't have enough money? I did some quick calculations and realized that after 60 liters, I wouldn't have enough. 38, 39, 40, 41. The numbers kept climbing without slackening pace at all. And I became more and more worried over something I usually don't have a second thought about. Damn, how many liters does this thing take? I let the words out before I knew it. Don't worry, it'll be over soon. Huh? This has a 50-liter tank, see? And just as she'd said, the gasoline meter stopped between 47 and 48. The sound of a receipt being printed out, and then the attendant at my window again. Thank you for waiting. Your total comes to 5,240 yen. That is so much of your 7,000 yen budget. Y'all better be making the best of that tank of gas. That better be the best tank of gas anybody ever bought. Oh, okay, here. I took out a 5,000 yen note and a crumpled 1,000 yen note from my pocket and handed them to the attendant. All right then, your change comes to 760 yen. Here's your receipt. Thank you for your business. I turned straight onto the road again, hearing the attendant's cheerful voice. The silver coupe now in motion once more. On the bright side, I was no longer worried about running out of gas, for now. On the not so bright side, we only had about 2,000 yen left. This worried me, but there was something that preoccupied me much more. Hey, question. Could it be that you're an expert on cars, too? Not really. What do you mean, not really? You knew that this car took 50 liters of gas, didn't you? Of course, it may as well have been that this kind of thing was absolutely common knowledge that I just didn't have. But she'd proven that she was an expert in these roads not so long ago. Having been caught by surprise twice now, I took out a vehicle specification from the glove compartment. And of course, you know the make and model of this car as well, don't you? Is that a question? You can think of it as a quiz if you want. Integra Type R Coupe. Correct, and the specs? 99 model year, 5-speed, max 200 horsepower. I had no expectation that she'd actually answer. I almost involuntarily followed along on the vehicle spec sheet as she rattled off figures with total disinterest. Length 4380, width 1695, engine displacement 1797 cc. Do you want me to go on? No, it's all right. You got this. I put the vehicle spec sheet back in its place. I couldn't believe my ears, but she'd nailed every single specification. I didn't think one could just memorize these things, and I couldn't even venture a guess as to why she had. But right before my eyes, she had gotten every single spec correct. And thinking back on the roads and flowers, I was getting the impression that she knew a lot about a lot. She knows a thing or two about a thing or two. Hey, just why do you know so much about everything? It's nothing, it's just, I'm older than you. And with that bare response, she went back to her usual silence. With her staring out the window again, I didn't find myself able to throw any more questions at her. Older. It really didn't look that way at all, but this was something she'd said before, too. Her name was Setsumi, her blood type was O. These were written on her white ID bracelet. There was very little indication to show me that she was older than me at all. Around when the sun started peeking out from under the clouds, the silver coupe speeding along, no destination, no place to go, just running forward. No more worries about gasoline and no more money either. Only about 2,000 yen left. Only enough for 3 to 4 more days at most of convenience store food. All right, so now what do you want to do? I have no idea what you mean by that. I mean, we have no more money left. And so? Look, her appearance is unchanging as ever. And this conversation we were having while eating rice balls bought at a convenience store not long ago. Finally, the fact that even if we were driving along like this, we were using up gasoline little by little. Maybe it might have been better to just stay still without doing anything at all. But it was impossible for me to stay still without doing anything, without shooting for anything. And I kept driving with those feelings in heart. If we just kept driving on normal highways, we'd run out of gas in about 3 days. Likewise, we'd only have enough for 3 to 4 days worth of food with the 2,000 yen we had left. We were obviously going to become too poor to do anything soon enough. Hey, do you want to try going to this Awaji Island? No reply. She just kept staring out the window as per usual. I think I might want to. Why? Well, it wasn't as if we'd escaped from the 7th floor with any goal or destination in mind. Because east or west, no matter where, anything was fine with me. But maybe that's why I wanted a goal and a destination. Because anything was fine with me. Around when the daylight had given over to the darkness of night, I had stopped the car in the parking lot of a pachinko parlor. Obviously, I wasn't planning on winning any money through pachinko or slots. I knew there wasn't much I could do on just 2,000 yen alone, but if I were skilled enough, I might just be able to swipe 10,000 or 20,000. That was my guess, based on the many times I'd been to pachinko parlors in the past. If only I had that much, we'd be okay in the first place, and we might even be able to get to Awaji Island on that amount. And so, I told her about the plan that I had just thought up. How about it? Want to try it out? No. Okay, very well. I'd expected it, but she'd shot me down immediately. I hadn't hoped that she'd cooperate with me in the first place, and I'd told her about my plan as a fait accompli. I don't know how to say that word, I'm sorry. I am an idiot and an uncultured swine. Not because I wanted her aid in it. All right, then wait here. I got out of the car and strode into the pachinko parlor alone. It was more crowded than I'd thought. Lots of pachinko balls, lots of people, and we love them balls. There's so many balls in here, just balls upon balls upon balls. This is just the dumbest joke to be making during this game. And more importantly, cash boxes crowded everywhere. As good a place as any. And thinking this, I headed over to the slot machines. I inspected them from the corridor for a while, and after having finished my survey, I focused on one set of machines. Lots of middle-aged salarymen, all right. Up to 4 boxes at their feet and 2 on the racks above. Oh, ho, ho! Oh, I know what you're planning. Oh my God, don't get your ass beat. Oh, we got a brave little toaster on our hands. And an empty stand separating each one of them. From what I'd seen before, these men hadn't come with acquaintances or friends. This satisfied the requirements. Perhaps in a place like this, no one would notice if I swiped one of those cash boxes. And in a store like this, each one probably held 20,000 yen or so. And with just that much, I'd just keep waiting here for one of the salarymen to go to the bathroom. After a little while, almost roughly 30 minutes had passed, a salaryman finally stood up from his seat. After I'd tailed him a bit to make sure he was going to the bathroom, I dashed back to the stand that he'd occupied, and, watching the people who were hitting the slots and at the attendants, I slowly approached that stand. Then, so as to not raise any suspicion, as if it were the most natural thing in the world, I swiped one of those cash boxes underfoot. Oh! Here we go! That moment, coins scattered everywhere with a thunderous noise. I'd been meaning to pick it up. No, I really had to pick it up with my very own hands. But they were unable to bear the weight, and the cash box crashed onto the floor. Oh, he's too weak to pick it up. Everyone turned in my direction to see what the commotion was all about. I got the feeling that someone was shouting. I got the feeling that someone was running toward me. But that was all behind me. I had already bolted and was less than 2 meters away from the entrance of the establishment by then. I put the engine in ignition in a hurry and floored the pedal. And when I spun the wheel to make a hasty getaway, just then... Uh-oh. Did you hit someone? I'd run up against the curb or something, and as I turned to make my getaway. Thus, a horrible crunching sound. That can't be good. But I accelerated onto the road before me without giving it a second thought. And my suddenly constricting, out-of-breath chest and the silver coupe speeding out of the daylight and into darkness. I was concerned about the crash a little while ago, but I had to distance myself from that place now. And soon, after 10 minutes of this, a fair distance away from the pachinko parlor, I stopped at some roadside and started to get out and inspect the damage. Are things okay? Yeah, it doesn't look too serious. She sounded slightly worried as she called out to me. I answered her as I inspected the damage. There was just a bump in the rear fender and a small crack in the muffler. It didn't look as if it were going to be any problem driving like this. I let out a sigh, somewhat relieved. That sucked. I thought back at what had just happened at the pachinko parlor. I'd slipped up there, but I had been a little more skillful. I might have pulled it off. And the reason I wasn't able to hold on to the cash box was because it had been a while since I'd lifted something heavy. If I'd held on to it with all my strength at the outset, I might have been able to make it. So you miscalculated. Huh? The current you can't do what the former you could have. She spoke as if she'd seen straight through me. That kind of weight. So it's best not to think of it the same way. Perhaps she was right. I didn't want to admit how changed I was. Fair enough. I hadn't anticipated at all that I could grow this week. Then what should I do? No answer. Eyes turned in silence toward the window to stare into the dark night sky. This was probably the way she was telling me to give up. And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to give up. Uh-oh. I think I screwed it up. Oh, no. Oh, crap. Oh, I think I goofed up. I right-clicked and I shouldn't have. Ah! That's something we can worry about. I can fix that. Like, oh, that. Not an autosave or nothing. Yeah, that seems like a real bad oversight. That feels like something you shouldn't be able to do. Found a bug in your very old video game. All right. Well, I guess I gotta go fix that now. Anyway, as always, thanks so much for stopping by, and I hope you have a nice rest of your whatever it is, wherever you are, and we'll catch you next time. Bye!